All right, so we talk a lot in the schools about pulling a dry line, and it's whether we're T-barring or rolling, knowing how to create a dry line can help you out. And it all comes into our game plan. All we mean when we say a dry line is we're trying to get rid of a puddle sitting in an area for a while we go and do something else. And let's just take this doorway. So let's say we're T-barring this bedroom out, right? And we get to the end, and now we have a puddle there. And so we've got one choice or a couple choices. We can leave that puddle there, jump up to the beginning of this hallway, and start racing down here, trying to get the hallway finished out, trying to catch up to our puddle, maybe moving the puddle out a little bit, but it's just more stress on you with that puddle sitting there, knowing you got to get back to it before it sets up. Because if that edge sets up on it, maybe we see it, maybe we don't. But maybe if we see it, that also means the homeowner might see it because it's right in a transition, right in the middle of a doorway. So when we're making our game plan, we're gonna walk the house first and look at all the little areas that we may be able to finish out, whether we're gonna just use the cut-in pad or cut-in roll, cut-in T-bar, and then pull a dry line at the transition. Like in this closet right here, we would definitely do this, closet or bathroom. Finish this out, pull a dry line at this doorway. Even when we get into this bedroom, it could be that, these little closet areas on the ends are gonna cause us a problem, or we just don't want anything to cause us a problem. So we might even cut those in and just pull a dry line. That way, when we're finishing everything out, we're just hitting that on the sides and we're good. And then same thing with the bedroom here. We're going to work this whole thing out. Now we're gonna tape, so that's two different ways you can do it. You can just use your cut-in pad and just draw a nice straight line, either up a board seam or at least in line with the grain, and you can pull it a little thinner, right? We don't need a thick, heavy edge of finish right there. Or you can tape it. And even when we're taping, you don't have to tape right on a board seam. In fact, a lot of times when I'm taping a transition under a doorway, I want to have this line right in the middle of when that door is shut. Where is it at? Now, if you can tape on a board seam, if you've got one kind of handy under there, that's fine. But if not, just tape it right underneath the middle of where that door runs. And again, less likely that you're going to see it there. If you do have a little bit of a line, but most likely if you do it good, you're not going to see it. So I'm just going to demonstrate real quick how we would do that. Right, and doing the bathroom or the closet would be the same way. We would just use our regular application method, whether it's roller, just the cut-in pad by itself. And here we've got a choice, right? We could pull it down this board seam, and we even got an end joint right here, so we could try to mimic that. So I'm just going to take my cut-in pad, and I'm going to draw as straight down that board seam as I can. When I get to that little piece of end grain, or that end joint, I'm going to move it off. All right, and then just feather. Just make sure you feather that out. And that should leave you a nice, easy transition to go back to. Oh, obviously, I'm leaning through the wall into the closet too, so sorry about that. I'll try to be a little better on this one. So if we were doing that on this side, we're actually in the closet. And it's just, again, all those smaller areas that can be a bit of a pain when you're trying to concentrate on the main areas of the floor. What don't you want jumping back into the picture and causing any issues? So get some finish over everything and then go back, do your feathers. Now this is, even when I'm doing it with my cut-in pad, I don't have to draw it straight down the board seam. If I want to pull it out, right, to where my closet actually comes to, and I want to feather that out, you can do that. This thing doesn't have to be absolutely perfect in straight lines. And then just feather that out, you're good to go there. And then if you can picture this bedroom being done, so let's say, so those are pre-doing your whole main field. Now we get to a point where we're working the main field on everything, but we still want to pull a dry line. So let's say we're working our way out of this room, you know, with the T-bar or the roller. We've got to this point. We taped off the doorway here to create our dry line. So it's the same thing. Now we just want to finish out in this doorway, pull all of our finish out, make sure we've got everything covered up to the tape and feathered on the opposite side of the frame. And then what we can do is, I usually want to pull the tape right away. And the reason I want to do that is I don't want to leave a hard edge. So just pull this, go toss it in the garbage. By pulling that, it lets the finish come over a little bit and not sit hard against this edge to give me such a hard edge. If you think you've got a hard edge, the other thing you could do is come back once that dries with a cut-in pad or a maroon pad and just knock that down a little bit. But now I'm going up after this is done. Now I can go up, hit that closet, come down. I can take my time. And when I get back to this side of it, right, I'm just going to come back down, take my cut-in pad, run it right along that dry line. I could even overlap it just a little bit, especially if this is already kind of set up and started to dry. I can overlap that just a little bit to make sure I have kind of a seamless area there, and I'm done. So a couple different ways to pull a dry line, and again, knowing we want to look for areas that are going to get in our way when we're trying to work the main field. Do we have any places that we want to go ahead and finish out, pull a dry line at a transition so that we don't have to worry about maintaining that puddle?